திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். புழியர்கோன் வெப்பொழித்த புகழியர்கோன் கடல் போற்றி. ஆழிமிசை கல்மிதப்பில் அணைந்த பிரான் அடி போற்றி. வாழி திரு நாவலூர் வன் தொண்டர் பதம் போற்றி. ஊழிமலி திருவாத ஊரர் திருத்தாள் போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். So in our discussion of tiruttoṇḍattogai, padhigam 7.39, today we are continuing from song number 3 onwards. So like what we have been doing, let's take a minute and have two of you recite the first two verses. So maybe we will start with I don't know who tried what song last time. So if you have volunteers, you can go with the first song. You just wanted to read that verse.
I can read.
Okay, go ahead.
Third one.
First one. Let's start. Repeat the first two, and then we'll go to the third.
First two, huh?
Yeah. Read the first one.
Okay. tillai-vāḻ andaṇar tam adiyarkum adiyen thirunALaippu kuyavanarku adiyen illaye annada iyarpagaikum adiyen ilayantan kudimaran adiyarkum adiyen vellumamigavalla meipporulukku adiyen viripolul sur kundrayar viranmindarku adiyen allimen mullai andar amarnidikku adiyen aruran aruril ammanukku aale.
Very good. Now who wants to go with the second one?
I can try.
Go ahead.
Ilai malinda vel nambi eripattarku adiyen ஏனாதிநாதன் தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் கலை மலிந்த சீர் நம்பி கண்ணப்பர்க்கு அடியேன் கடவுரில் கலையன் தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் மலை மலிந்த தோள் வள்ளல் மான கஞ்சாரன் எஞ்சாத வாட்டாயன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் அலை மலிந்த புனல் மங்கை ஆனாயர்க்கு அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மானுக்கு ஆளே.
Very good, very good. Now a little quiz for you, for anybody on the call, for each one of you. So we have seen the first two verses and we have seen the stories of several devotees. So any devotee's story that you remember, just one line summary, what the devotee did. Anyone that you remember from the first two songs. Each one of you can try one at a time.
I can try Kannappa.
Kannappa, okay, good. What is highlight?
Kannappa was so in love with the Lord. He did not care for his own self. And when the Lord was bleeding from the eye to test him, he removed his own eye and put it back. So from that perspective, he is considered one of the greatest devotees.
Very good. So that's a good summary. Only one minor comment I would say is that even though we commonly use the word the Lord is testing, in reality the Lord has no need to test anybody.
Yeah.
Because he already knows them. Right? Any of these things are more of Lord's Leela to show the greatness of the devotee to the world.
Yeah.
The Lord knows how great, because he is inside us. He knows what we think, what we do, what we are, because he knows everything. So he doesn't test us. He does things so that the devotee's greatness become visible to the world.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So Rama, who is what do you remember? Anyone?
I could try probably the thirunALaippu Kuyavana.
Okay, thirunALaippu Kuyavanar. Okay, what do you remember?
Yes, he was the potter who was making pots and he was giving the pots to everybody freely, and for all Shiva devotees. He was only thinking about Shiva all the time. So once Lord Shiva comes and gives him a pot to keep it, to save it so that he would come and pick it back. But due to Shiva's Leela, he and his wife cannot find the pot. Am I going in the right direction?
You are going in the right direction, but the very important thing that occurs in his life, you haven't mentioned that.
Okay, so he goes somewhere to be with some
other woman.
Some other woman, and his wife comes to know about it. So since then he takes a vow that he will not touch any woman, including his wife. So he lives that life of that rule throughout. So,
not only he lived that life, but they lived that life, both husband and wife, without letting the world know that this is what's going on.
Okay, I had to mention that, right?
Yeah, because yeah.
So yeah, for the outside world they are wife and husband, but then yes, he doesn't touch his wife, so that's how he goes on. And then when Lord Shiva comes with this pot and the pot goes missing, he asks for the pot, and he cannot find the pot at all, the one that was given by Lord Shiva. So then, of course, both wife and husband are given moksha by Lord Shiva.
Good. So the key things I would say are the fact that he meets with some other woman, and then his wife scolds him, and they have a fight, and he vows that he will not touch another woman, including his wife, and they live like that without letting the world know that this is what is going on. They have grown old now, and Shiva comes, gives him the begging bowl to keep for safe custody, and then he vanishes, and then he makes them take a dip in the temple tank and gives them youth back, and then takes them to Shivaloka. So that is the important part, the fact that they lived a life like that for a long time, and at the end Shiva plays his Leela and then grants them youth back and takes them to Shivaloka. Okay, good. And is Murthy there?
He's here.
Okay. Yeah. Now Murthy's turn. Murthy can what story or what does he recall from the first two songs? Anyone?
1 minute, let me look at the song.
Okay, while you are looking at it, then we will go to Madhuri. Madhuri, any story that you remember from the first two songs?
It's hard to interpret with the name, though. So.
Okay, tell me the story that you will remember. We will come to the name.
I think I'm able to remember one, but I don't know the full thing. I can. I think this is Eripatta.
Eripatta, yeah.
Yeah, Eripatta. So I think he is. He's a warrior. He carries a kind of a weapon,
battle
which
axe.
is like a
battle
axe. Yeah, battle axe. So I think once he was going near the temple, there's a elephant which actually chases a lady who was carrying a basket of flowers. So I think it just it throws away the basket of flowers. So
it's an old man. It's an old man.
Yeah.
Correct.
Old man. Yeah. So I think that's I'm able to only kind of get.
That's all you remember?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the beginning of the story. The main thing that happens is that he is a Shiva devotee whose flowers are thrown by this elephant. Then Eripatta comes to know about this, and then he attacks and kills the elephant and kills the elephant keepers and all of them. And the king comes and finds out what happened, and then king gives his sword to the Eripatta and says, kill me with that. I have the ultimate responsibility for this.
Right.
And then Eribethar feels that so bad that how can he do this to his king? And he feels that he's done something wrong, so he tries to kill himself. Eribethar tries to kill himself, and then the king catches hold of the sword, and then Shiva appears, and everybody comes back to life.
Right. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Now Madhuri.
I think I still have to think about it.
You still have to think about it. Okay. Now we go to Murthy then.
I will tell you the story of Iyarpagai.
Iyarpagai.
Yeah. Iyarpagai. Okay. Iyarpagai is a great Shiva Bhakta, and he is an ardent devotee of Shiva, but he has a great quality of being a dana, like in terms of giving anything that people that particularly Shiva Bhaktas come and ask him, he is always willing to do the dana, like dana karna. So basically he has been doing this for long, and then Shiva wanted to show the world about his greatness and his, number one, his dana quality, and also his devotion towards the Shiva Bhaktas. So he goes to Iyarpagai as a Shiva Bhakta with all ashes and all that on him, and then Iyarpagai invites him and then feeds him very well, and he is completely taken care of. And then he says, okay, Shiva Bhakta, please ask me for anything that you want. Then he says, are you sure? He said, yeah. Then he says, okay, I want your wife. So everybody was shocked, saying that, look, how can somebody ask the other's wife? So it was almost like in the society, it was almost like it's something which is just cannot be done. But then Iyarpagai, he is being somebody who always goes as per his word. He says, okay, no problem, you can take my wife and go. So then he says, look, yes, that is okay. And then, if I go with her, basically it will be a problem, because all your family people, everybody will try and, kill me. So you have to protect me and escort me out of the village. So Iyarpagai goes with the Shiva Bhakta, who is actually Shiva himself, and his wife, and he just actually fights with all the people, all his relatives and all, actually kills them and then takes them up to the end of the village. And when he crosses the village, then the Shiva Antardhanam, he disappears, and then he says, like, this is the greatness of you. And then all the people who died also, their lives are come back, and that is how he had become famous.
Very good, very good, excellent. So, I'm sure none of you were expecting the surprise quiz.
And I failed the quiz.
and to tell you the truth, I was not thinking of giving a quiz when we started the call.
Okay.
So the quiz was a surprise to me too.
Okay.
Good. Again, this helps us, because there's nothing like trying to say something to see how much you remember, and that kind of thing.
Sure.
To tell you the truth, right? As I'm telling you stories, often I go and read up the stories a little bit, just to make sure that I refresh my memory, which is also a good thing for me.
Sure.
Okay. Good. Excellent. So now we will go to the third verse. So Chakravarti, you can repeat with me. Mummayal ulagu aanda Chakravarti, are you on mute?
Sorry. Okay. Mummayal alagu aanda
ulagu aanda Murththikkum adiyen muruganukkum uruththira pasupathikkum adiyen semmaye thirunALaip povarkum adiyen திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர்தம் திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர்தம்
திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர் தம் அடியார்க்கும்.
Let's repeat this. There are three words here. Thiru குறிப்பு தொண்டர்.
Okay.
திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர்.
திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர்
தம்
தம்
அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் மெய்மையே திருமேனி வழிபடா நிற்க வெகுண்டு எழுந்த தாதைத்தாள் மழுவினால் எறிந்த அம்மையான் அடிச்சண்டி பெருமானுக்கு அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மானுக்கு ஆளே. Good. So in this there are several devotees. Murththi is one devotee, Murugan is another devotee, uruththira pasupathi is another devotee, thirunALaip pOvAr is another devotee, திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர் is another devotee, Chandi is another devotee in the song. And we will look at their words, their lines and the stories. I don't know whether we will cover all of them today, but we will see. We will probably cover 3 or 4 and then we will continue the next session. Mummayal ulaganda murthikkum adiyen. Mummai means 3 things. So in Tamil, Moonu is 3 and 3 things is what comes as Mummai. So with 3 things, Ulagu Anda. Ulagu means the world, basically the kingdom. Anda means to rule. Murththi is the name of the person. Murthikkum adiyen. I am a servant of Murththi. So I am a servant of Murththi who rule the world by 3 things. That's what he says here. Now we look at who Murththi is and what did he do and how did he rule the world with 3 things. What are those 3 things? We will come to that. So Murththi was a merchant in Madurai. And as you can know, in all these names, they are all great devotees. So Murththi was a great Shiva devotee. And so I am sure some of you have been to that Madurai temple. Maybe all of you have been to that Madurai temple, the Meenakshi temple. It's a very big temple and very famous temple. And Murththi, he used to go to the temple every day. And his service to the Lord was making sandalwood paste for Swami's alankaram and all that. And you know how we make sandalwood paste traditionally. We will have a sandalwood stick and there will be a big circular stone, like a grinding stone, but a circular stone on which you apply sprinkle some water and then you rub the sandalwood stick, and over a lot of rubbing you get the sandalwood paste, and that's what is taken for Swami's alankaram and all that. So this was his service. Every day he will do that. And as you can imagine, sandalwood, any things like this, right? These are expensive things. Sandalwood, no, this is not very common, right? Common means it is something which is expensive. Any fragrance is expensive. Any incense is expensive. As we saw in the last time, the Kunguliya Kalaya nAyanAr, fragrance is expensive. Like that, sandalwood is not it's a special thing. So it is more expensive. And he was a merchant, so he had the money and he could do this. And this was going on for obviously a number of years. And at some point in time, there was a conquest, right? Some king from Karnataka region had conquered the Pandya kingdom, and he had become the king of Madurai at the time. And this king, the invading king, he was a Jain. And not only he was a Jain, but he was a cruel king and was more of an extremist kind of a person. And what he did was that he was mocking all the Shiva devotees and doing all that, and then he was trying to create trouble for various people. But mUrththi was still continuing his service. He was ignoring the king's mockery and all that, and he was doing it. But for whatever reason, the king developed a lot of animosity towards mUrththi, and he wanted to make sure that his service to Shiva is stopped somehow or other. So he proclaimed saying that nobody should sell sandalwood to mUrththi, and if anybody sells sandalwood to mUrththi, they will be killed, something like that, right? I'm just making up that part, but he put a lot of blocks in making the sandalwood becoming available to mUrththi. So obviously mUrththi would have had some stock of sandalwood and he was using it, and at the end sandalwood stock is gone and he has to buy new sandalwood, and he tries hard. He cannot find sandalwood anywhere in Madurai who will be willing to sell him sandalwood. So he is very, very dejected. So he comes to the Shiva temple and he's highly upset and highly sad and doesn't know what to do. So he's sitting in front of this stone where he will rub the sandalwood stick to make sandalwood paste. He was sitting there and thinking, how will he continue his service? What will he do? Where should he live? You can imagine what kind of thoughts one will have in that kind of a situation. And suddenly something comes to him, and he feels that he doesn't want to let go of this. So he says, hey, if there is no sandalwood, I have my hand let me grind my hand itself as sandalwood for the Lord. So he starts, with his elbow and all that, right? He starts grinding his own hand on that stone. And you can imagine when you rub your hand hard against rough stone, what will happen? In no time, your skin will be gone and your muscles will be torn and the blood will be flowing and your bones will be grinding. So he was doing that because he was such a mental state that he didn't mind any of that. He wanted to do that. And so the whole the whole bone was being ground and everything was blood was flowing. And at that time, a heavenly voice was heard. Oh mUrththi, stop doing this. Don't worry. You will become the king of Madurai and you will be able to continue your service. Don't worry. And as soon as he heard that heavenly voice, he was so happy, and his arm became normal again. Remember how was his arm, right? He was all injured and bleeding and all that, right? Everything became normal. He was back whole again, and he was so happy. So he went home. This happened in the evening, right? It happened in the night. Later that night, the cruel king dies in his sleep. And next day morning, the ministers, everybody get together and then they do the final rites for the king and all that, and then they try to figure out how to run the kingdom, because we need a king, and the king who died did not have any children who can succeed him as the king. So the ministers do some analysis and come to some conclusion, and they say, no, let's tie the eyes of the royal elephant and let it roam. Let it pick somebody who will be our next king. That must have been some kind of a tradition in those days. So they tie a cloth around the elephant's eyes and let the royal elephant roam freely in Madurai. And the elephant obviously, roams around and finally comes near the Madurai temple. And mUrththi, who is standing outside the temple, he was thinking about it, and then the elephant comes near him, kneels in front of him, and lifts him up and puts him on his back. So the ministers are also happy. They have found a new king now. So they bring the elephant and mUrththi back to the palace, and then they anoint the mUrththi as the new king. And mUrththi says that I will become the king only if I can do it using these three things. So he says for my abhishekam, when they do this, when you become a king, right, they do a abhishekam with water and all that, right? So he says let holy ash be my abhishekam, and that kind of holy ash. And jewelry, right? People wear, kings will wear a lot of jewelry. Let rudraksha mala be my jewelry, and instead of a crown with gems and all that, golden crown with gems and all that, my matted locks will be my crown. So he becomes the king. You can imagine a king who is wearing holy ash on his body and rudraksha mala and matted locks. That kind of a king he was. And he ruled Madurai for a long time in a very just manner and continued his service to Shiva and attained Shiva's feet at the end. So this is the story of mUrththi nAyanAr. The Mummai is the holy ash, rudraksha mala and chata, matted locks. Those are the three things with which he ruled the world or ruled the kingdom. That is that Mummayal Ulaganda Murthikku Madiyan lines background, that story. Any comments? We can talk now. If not, we will go to next line. Muruganukkum uruththira pasupathikum adiyen. This talks of two devotees. Murugan is one devotee. Uruththira Pasupathi is another devotee. Muruga nAyanAr lived in a place called Tiruppugalur. Tiruppugalur is somewhere near Thiruvarur. It's in the Chola kingdom. Most of the nayanmars are also from the Kaveri Delta area. So Muruga nAyanAr was born in a Brahmin family, and he was very devoted to the Lord of Tiruppugalur, and his service was making garlands for the Lord. So as we know, in our puja, when we worship the Lord, we have this flower is a very important part of the worship, offering flowers. So Muruga nAyanAr, he was making extensive gardens. He was maintaining gardens so that they can have all kinds of flowers for Lord's worship. And there are different kinds of flowers, right? There are flowers that flower in small plants. There are flowers that flower in bushes, and there are flowers that bloom in trees, flowering trees. So he had all kinds of plants, various kinds of plants that will provide these kind of flowers. And we also know that the flowers, different plants will bloom at different times of the day. Some plants will bloom very early in the morning, some plants will bloom in the late morning, some plants will bloom in the evening, some plants will bloom in the early night. Like that, there are different plants, different flowers that are like that. So he would, for each period, he will go collect all the fresh flowers for the period, and he would make varieties of garlands. When we talk of garland, we typically think of only one thing. Garland is the only word in English, but in Tamil, I'm sure in Telugu and other Indian languages, there are different words for different types of garlands. There are garlands that you wear on your neck, there are garlands that you wear on your hair, and there are garlands that you wear on your arms. All kinds of things are there. So there are closed garlands, there are open-ended garlands. So he would make variety of garlands and offer them to the Lord. That was his service. And once when thirunALaip was on his one of his pilgrim tours, he comes to Tirupagallur and spends some time. And during that time, thirunALaip and muruga nAyanAr, they develop close friendship. And when thirunALaip sings padhigam on Tirupagallur Shiva, in his padhigam he mentions muruga nAyanAr's name. O Lord of Tirupagallur, wearing the flowers offered by Murugan. That kind of a thing. So muruga nAyanAr is special enough that he was praised by Sambandar in his thevaram song. And he also became friends with Sambandar. Later on, several years later, when thirunALaip got married, muruga nAyanAr was one of the invitees to the wedding. So muruga nAyanAr comes to thirunALaip's wedding and takes part in that. And we will see it later in Sambandar's story. At the end of after the wedding, Sambandar and his wife and his family and his friends, they all go to the local temple in a place called thirunALlur Perumanam. And Sambandar sings a padhigam and asks Shiva, is this not time for me to come back? And at that time, Shiva creates a jyoti there, and Sambandar tells everybody, let's go around this jyoti and enter this jyoti, let's go to Shivalokam. So Sambandar, his wife, his parents, his relatives, his friends, whoever was there at that time, who came to attend the wedding, they all got free pass to Shivalokam, thanks to Sambandar. So muruga nAyanAr was one of them who was there on that day at that place, and he also got mukti along with Sambandar on that day. So that is the gist of muruga nAyanAr's story. Any comment, questions? We can talk. If not, we will go to the next one. Uruththira pasupathikum adiyen. Uruththira Pasupathi is a Tamil version of Rudra Pasupathi. The devotee's name must be Pasupathi, and he was chanting Rudram all the time. So he became known as Rudra Pasupathi. And in Periya Puranam, we don't have much details of his life. All we have is that he was an ardent devotee. Obviously, he was a Brahmin, he was an ardent devotee, and he used to chant Rudram, Sri Rudram. And the description in Periya Puranam says that he would go to the local pond, temple tank, and stand neck-deep water. And with folded hands above his head, he will chant Rudram. And that was his service. He will chant Rudram. I don't know how many times he was chanting every day. He must have been chanting it for a long time every day for him to get that kind of a name. And because of that continuous Rudram chanting, he received Shiva's grace. And that's how he is listed in tiruttoṇḍattogai list. So that's all we know about Rudra Pasupathi's life and his devotion and his service to Lord. So I know that some of you do chant Rudram, so I thought this will be of interest to you. Any comments, questions?
There's some Facebook or WhatsApp message going on that Shirdi Sai, this Sai Baba, this group, they are doing a worldwide Rudram chanting, I think, from April 4th to April 14th. I don't know if somebody got it. There's a specific time they are all doing it for the benefit of the world for against this coronavirus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Everybody has to do whatever way they can. Worship, prayer is the best remedy we have. To protect us. And one minor thing that you may have noticed, Rudra Pasupathi is in Tamil we write it as uruththira Pasupathi. And in Tamil there are certain letters that don't come in the beginning of a word. So la, ra, these kind of letters don't come in the beginning of Tamil words. So when Sanskritam words are used in Tamil, especially in thevaram and thirunALaip and in all the scriptures, they will always be prefixed with a vowel. So for example, Ranganatha in Srirangam, Ranganathan in Tamil they will write as Aranganathan. Similarly, Rudram, it is written as Uruthram. Like that. I'm just mentioning so that you become aware of that as we see these names.
Okay.
So next we will see thirunALaip pOvAr. Semmaye thirunALaip pOvArkum adiyen. thirunALaip pOvAr his name is Nandhan, and he was born in a what you can call Pulayar is in Tamil. Pulaya is the caste. What that means is that he is in today's world what we call as the untouchables. So he was born in that kind of a family, and their family activity was primarily taking care of all the things that we normally leave it to the lowest end of the society in terms of when cattle die, right? For example, the Pulayas will come, take the cattle away, they will skin the cattle, they will do those kind of things, cleaning the streets or whatever. So he was from that kind of a family, and they were not allowed to enter the temples in those days. But he was an ardent Shiva devotee. So he said, his service was he would do whatever he can do from his status in life. Whatever was his profession, whatever he could offer, he will do. So because he was from this Pulaya clan, what he offered was that he will offer the skin of cattle for the various drums that are used in temples. The other body parts of the animals, right, that are used in the music, like the tanti, the strings for the stringed instruments, he will give. Those kind of things he was doing. But he was a very ardent devotee, and obviously nobody would know about his devotion except for the people who are close to him. And once he went to a temple, a place called Tiruppungur. There is a place called Vaidiswaran Kovil. Some of you may have heard of this. It's a famous temple, Vaidiswaran Kovil. This Tiruppungur is about 2-3 kilometers from that place. It's about, you can say it's about 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers south of Chidambaram. And in the temple, he is standing on the street outside the temple entrance because he cannot go inside the temple. And you can see that Swami from the street itself usually. But in this place, the Vrishabham in front of the Swami is so big that standing on the street, you cannot see the Swami because the Vrishabham is blocking his view. So he was so sad that he couldn't see the Swami. He prays to Swami. Swami, I am a low caste person. I cannot enter the temple. I am standing in the street. But unfortunately, I am not able to have your darshanam because of this bull that is blocking the view. And Swami says, "O Vrishabha, move to a side." And immediately, the Vrishabha moves to a side. And he can see the Swami from the street now. He was so happy. He is so happy, ecstatic. He has darshanam, and then he goes around the temple, and then he comes back. So even if you go today to the temple, you will see that the Vrishabham is not, as you stand in the front of the temple, you can see from the temple entrance to the Dvajastambham, the bull, the Swami, they will all be in one straight line. But in this temple, the Vrishabham is onto a side. So when you stand, you can see the Swami from the street directly. And that Vrishabham is a huge, majestic Vrishabham. The bull is big, very well, very beautiful bull. So next time you go to Chidambaram, if possible, go see this temple too. It's a small village, so mid-sized temple. Maybe only 2 prakarams, but beautiful bull that you should see. Anyway, and he comes back to his village, and then one day he feels a desire to go have darshanam at Chidambaram. So he is thinking about it, but he also knows Chidambaram is a very holy town, and there are 3,000 Brahmin priests who live around the temple in the town, and there are a lot of Veda Patashalas, there are Veda, there is yajnams going on everywhere, and there is a very holy place, and he cannot really go. Because he cannot stand somewhere and see it, right? Because that's a big place, big temple, and he can only see from So he wants to go to Chidambaram and have darshanam, but he also realizes that he cannot go. So he will say, when he's talking with his friends and others, right? He will say, I'm going to go to Chidambaram, and they will ask him, okay? They all know this story, right? Because they all from the same caste and they cannot go. So they say, oh, when are you going to go to Chidambaram? They will mock him. And he will say, I will go tomorrow. And so this was going on for a long time. Anytime he will often say that he wants to go to Chidambaram, and others will ask him, when are you going to go? And he will say, I will go tomorrow. That reminds me of a sign that I've seen in some of the stores in India when I was growing up. There will be a sign which says, cash today, credit tomorrow. And you can go any day, the sign will still say cash today, credit tomorrow. That means that they don't give credit, and if you want to buy anything, you have to pay cash. Like that, every day you will say, I want to go to Chidambaram, and every day you will say, I will go to Chidambaram tomorrow. So his nickname became nALaip. Nalai means tomorrow, Pavan means one who will go. So nALaip means one who will go tomorrow. So this goes on for a long time, and one day he feels that he must go. So he leaves his village, walks to Chidambaram. He reaches the outskirts of Chidambaram, and he can see the Chidambaram town and the temple Gopuram, everything he can see from a distance. And he can see the sounds of Veda Patashalas, the students reciting Vedams, and you can see the smoke coming from the ahutis that they are doing in the various yajnams and all that, right? So he is looking at this and he says, how can I go there? I cannot go there. So he walks around the town, Chidambaram town. He walks around he keeps walking around several times because he cannot go inside, but he is doing protection of the town. And finally gets tired and falls asleep under a tree. That night, because he thinks that I am a low caste person, I cannot go. So that night he gets a dream. Shiva tells him that tomorrow you will enter the fire and go with your with a brilliant body to the temple. You will come to me. And the same night, Shiva appears in the dreams of all the Chidambaram priests and tells them that my dear devotee is waiting outside. You go, create a fire for him. He will enter the fire and come to me. So the next day morning, all the priests talk to one another and say, what is it? I had this kind of dream. And the other person says, yeah, I also had this kind of dream. They realize that all of them had this dream. So they go out and they find nandhanAR under a tree. They go to him and with folded hands tell him, sir, Swami has ordered us to create a fire for you. And he also had the dream, so he knows. He was so ecstatic, he says, he also, prostrates them with folded hands. And then the Brahmins create a fire. nandhanAR goes around the fire chanting the holy name. And then he enters the fire. Then out of the fire, he comes with a divine body. He comes out as a sage, like a rishi, with a brilliant body, with the jata, with the matted locks, and with a sacred thread and all that. And so the Brahmins are obviously very much surprised that he entered as a kulaya, but low caste person in dirty clothes or whatever, and now he out comes as a rishi. So they all accompany him. They all go inside the Chidambaram town. They enter the temple. They go to the Nataraja Sannidhi. And nandhanAR was so ecstatic in having the darshan of Nataraja. And as he was worshipping Nataraja, his body merges with Shiva. None of them see him anymore after that. So that is the very special devotee. Like a Kannapar, nandhanAR is also a very, very special devotee, that whatever be one's life's situation, one can achieve the Lord just by pure devotion. Pure devotion. And that's what he was. And so this story is very famous. Just like Kannappa's story is very famous, nandhanAR's story, thirunALaip pOvAr, is how he is referred to in Periya Puranam. But in common parlance, people refer to him as nandhanAR. So nandhanAR is a famous story, and there was a composer called Gopalakrishna Bharati, who was a contemporary of Tyagaraja, and he wrote a masterpiece called Nandan Charitram. In that Nandan Charitram, it is like an opera, and he took some parts of the Periya Puranam story, but he added, like you're making a movie, right? So he added episodes that are not in the original story to make it more attractive. And that story became very popular. And even in Carnatic music concerts, you will hear some of those songs. And also there was a movie that was taken in the 1940s, I believe, 1930s or 1940s, called nandhanAR. It was a very popular movie. So that is the story of thirunALaip pOvAr. Any comments, questions? We can talk.
Yeah, actually in Telugu, there is a movie called Jayabheri, in which Yakkine Nageshwara was the hero. In that there is this song, Nanduni Charitamu Vinama Paramanandamu Gunama.
And what does it mean?
Basically, he recites. He is also, I think, I don't know what is the story. Basically, he tries to enter the temple, and then he says that Shiva is, for him there is no difference, and then he recites the whole story of Nanda. And it's a very popular song in Telugu. Jayabheri, all the songs are very big super hits, and this is also a big hit. Basically, it's the whole story of Nanda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nanduni Charitamu Vinuma. That is, you listen to the story of Nanda, Paramanandam Gunama, and be very happy about it. That's all.
Very good, very good. Yeah.
Okay. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
So, it's 2 o'clock in Eastern time here, and so either we can do one of two things. We can wrap here and continue in the next session, or if you want to listen to the whole padhigam, it will take about 15-17 minutes. We can do that and conclude. What is your preference?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay. Good. So we will conclude here, and we will continue the remaining stories of this song in the next session. Tiruchitrambalam.